testing 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 testing， 应该会延迟。
不行，我们在这里看到一直有声音啊，它得自己在那里发声。
好，那开始。Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about Reduxio NG application with NGIX. First of all, I'm going to apologize for switching the topic. At the first beginning, I was going to talk about the web torrent. Now I'm switched to this one, which is a Reduxio application. For this topic, I'm going to separate it into 3 steps. The first one is I'm going to talk about the current situation, which is the modern front-end framework and the problem it tries to solve. And the second one is the challenges. The challenges we have while using these frameworks, such as React, AngularJS, and Vue.js. The third part is the solution. When we have some sort of challenges we have for now, what kind of solutions we can use to solve it? I'm going to start with an article. It was published by Digester 1968. It's talking about the go-to statement should be considered harmful. And inside this topic, or inside this article, there's one important word I think we need to pay attention to. It's talking about the go-to statement, and this word is we should do our utmost to shorten the conceptual gap between the static program and the dynamic process. What you're trying to explain is our processes are dynamic and our program are static. Dynamic process means we cannot handle it in a static way. We need to use some sort of abstraction so that we can manipulate them. Basically, our program is handling a series of data over time. We don't know how it is going to be in the future. And with modern frameworks such as React, Angular, and Vue, I think the most important features inside of these frameworks are virtual DOM and two-way bindings. What virtual DOM and two-way bindings state is you will take a snapshot of your data from this series so that you can handle it with your own static program. From this point of view, state can be represented can represent your UI. Just like the picture here, the data we have can represent the UI we have beside of it. Another example, a real example, is the URL. It's also a state. It defines how your page should look like. Excuse me. Like this volume page, we have this URL here. If we pass this URL, we can get the data in like this picture. And we have different kind of filters, like the filter of campaign, filter for offer. It will define how your page looks like. It will be mapped into your bread graphs. We all know about with framework like React, Angular, and Vue, we can organize our application into nested components like this. Basically, we create a root component, and it has to choose trial component, trial A component, and trial B component. And in trial A component, we have another components. So, and when we need to communicate between the components, we will through the input props or the output events and the callback. But with this kind of organism, we will have several different kind of challenges. The first one is, what if the grand trial A component would like to update the trial B component and trial C component? The second one is, what if we need to interact with async stuff, like the network API, like the local storage? If we do it in any way we want, we might get this kind of situation which is chaos. It's full of chaos. It could be extremely difficult to maintain, test, and add new features. If a model can update another model, then a view can update a model, which updates another model, and this, in turn, might cause another view to update. At some point, you no longer understand what happens in your app as you have lost control over the when, why, and how of its states. When the system is awkward and non-deterministic, it's hard to reproduce bugs and new features. So in this situation, to solve this chaos situation, we need to unify our way to update these states. In the real world, Facebook promotes user flux. Basically, it abstracts states from your application and save it into your store. Instead of interacting states directly, we will just dispatch an action. All those changes to states would be handled by dispatcher. Inspired by Flux, the Emperor will develop Redux pretty soon. What Redux did is we can regard Redux as Flux plus functional programming. It just replaced the dispatcher with a fewer function, which is a reducer. And ngix is could be equal to Redux plus the RxJS. Basically, user with ngix, the user will interact with our application. The components will dispatch some actions, which is well, I'm sorry. These actions could be captured by reducer. Then the reducer would recalculate the states and output a new one to the store. And the changes will be observed by our components, which is the which is where the RxJS came from. In a row, reducers are pure functions and calculate the states, and the states in the store are observables. We can observe those states and update our components. Note that the actions are just data that is labeled by a special type. Store is a giant object that used to save our observable states. Now I'm going to talk about what is a reducer. Imagine we have a series of numbers, which is 1 and 2 and 3. We have this reduce method, which try to calculate the sum of them. So we reduce the initial number is 0. So after running this reducer, we can get our result, which is 6. That's pretty straightforward. With the reducer, each step, each number is assigned an action. We try to reduce this action, and based on different action, we will have different kind of manipulation to those states. And the state is the total number. So in this method, we try to increase and decrease and increase. So the final result should be 1. And this is the basic concept behind the reducer. Imagine now we have an application to develop, and these changes and these states could be abstracted into actions. Increase, like the state 1, change to state 2, and change to state 3. It could be represented like increase, decrease, and increase. And all these changes could be updated and could be done by our reducer. And here is why we have a reducer here. Sorry. Apologies again for this chat, so I'm not going to give any live coding demonstration. So let's just talk about the pros and cons for ngix. I think the pros for ngix could be the predictability of outcome. Obviously, with ngix, we unify the way we update our states. It's easy to predict the behavior of pure functions and components. Without side effects, we should get the same output when inputting the same thing. So that's why it's predictable. And next is maintainability and testability. What pure functions and components can bring to us is we should be able to easily reuse and test them. The third part, I think, the benefits we can get from is developer tools. I'm not going to talk about too much about this part. I'm going to give just a demonstration maybe later. And the cons. I think the cons, it will add interaction to our app. Things always come at a cost. Redux your Angular app will add interaction to decouple what happened from how things change. And now is the live demo for our third tool. Here is our current application for the new OBX app. We developed it with the NGRX. So if we refresh the page, sorry. We refresh our app, we will see all these actions are listed in this development tool. And like I just said, a state can represent our application. We can visualize our states with this tool. And it could be in the chart mode. We can debug our application and like in this chart. If I want to know what's click value in here, then I can just move my mouse upon it. Then I can know the number should be 6,200. And interesting is, with all this action we start in here, we can record them, which means we have a slider in here. We can reproduce our application with this state. Like the first state is loading state. So all the UI will be showed is with a spinner. The next stage might be load something with a result. And next step is loading results here. So we can see in our stat card we have got our results. And our state tree will be changed into current format. Same thing we can do here. If we load the step table successfully, we can get the result and render that into our view. So if you look into our state tree, you can see the results in here. We have campaign, offer, track source, and countries, which is referenced in our view here. Then the result could be easily debugged too. And we can reproduce all the user interactions. We press this play button. I'm going to show you more. Now, if the user click the campaign button, is for not found. I will click the dashboard back to here, switch the cost, switch the revenue, and all the things are reproducible. This is the second benefit we can get from it. I think that's almost all for today. It's pretty short one. Thanks.